What is up, YouTube family? Thank you guys for tuning back in to Wilburn Reactions. My name is Chod. If you are new to this channel, go ahead and subscribe. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Hit that thumbs up if you like this video. Also, notification buttons on at all times. I do release videos throughout the day. Today, we are headed into some Bobby Lewis. This is going to be a blindside reaction for me. New artist alert. The song we're going into is Tossin and Turnin. Tossin and Turnin. I wonder if this has something to do with sleep. I've been off on my guesses, guys. I've been off on my guesses lately, but I like to do it. And before I dive in, first and foremost, I want to thank my new subscribers for coming over, supporting me and my channel, and my subscribers that's been here. But if you are new to this channel while the music is playing, I do like to wait to the very end to give you my honest, detailed breakdown. So wait for that, and let's dive in.
Baby, you did something to me. I couldn't sleep at all last night, just thinking of you. Baby, things weren't right when I was tossing and turning all night. I kicked the blankets on the floor, turned my pillow upside down. I never did before. Out of bed, turned on the light, I pulled down the shade, went to the kitchen for a bite, rolled up the shade, turned off the light, I jumped back into bed. It was the middle of the night. The clock downstairs was striking 4. Couldn't get you off my mind. I heard the milkman at the door. Into bed, it was the middle of the night. The clock downstairs was striking 4. I couldn't get you off my mind. I heard the milkman at the door, because I was tossing and turning, tossing and turning. Day, I was a tossing and
Cool. I like this, man. In this era of music, especially the style, the melody that they had in this era was really cool. It was that fun dancing, like swing music type vibes to it, and I really think they lived in this era when it comes to dancing, and the music they made, the excitement in it. But, this is the simple, song to the fellas, I know you guys had those moments, you were tossing and turning thinking about that one. This is that song. That's what he's talking about. He might have let that one get away, took it for granted. Now you tossing and turning in the sheets, and she's laughing because she said she told you so, but you thought you had it in the bag. I understand. That's where what happens sometimes. But it's fun. It's fun and it's cool to hear this. And I feel like these artists back then when they made songs like this, a lot of male artists did make songs about maybe losing someone or letting that one get away, or a mistake they made. I feel like guys were okay with admitting wrong in their music, and a lot of guys related to it, and I feel like today that's where that line is drawn to, where in today's male artists, some of these guys are afraid to admit being wrong. They take the hard road out of it and say, I don't care, I can grab another one, she wasn't the one, da da da. They don't know what love is. That's what I feel. Or they think they do, and then they're scared to, when it does happen, it's like, I got to get rid of her and I got to make a song about it and da da da. That's how it goes in today's world. But back then it was just genuine love, genuine love for a person. And I felt like the connection to music along with the people you knew, when you were in love, and it's just amazing. One thing I want to talk about back then too, I love how they always had like big groups. You know, it never was like a solo artist on stage. It was always more or less they had backup singers like so in this song. And that's really cool, you know, that they always had some type of backup singers in the group. I always felt like you gave a fair chance because there's those singers out there that maybe never got a solo chance, but they sound really good together, you know, as a backup singer. Now they get their shot to be on stage with Bobby Lewis and whoever else, you know, was famous at the time, and put them and get them out there, you know, on the album and stuff like that. So that was always, you know, a positive in my eyes when you see backup singers on there. One thing I want to say though, Bobby Lewis' voice, first time hearing him, and I really think he sounds really great. I love the deep tone in his voice. Normally, a lot of these artists you told me are male artists, you know, they're in a higher pitch, you know, sometimes, but I love how he has his lower pitch to him, maybe tenor, maybe a little lower than that, but I'm going to say tenor. And I love the sound, the smoothness, and it's really cool. And then the backup singers, of course, coming in, and they sound really great. Like I said, maybe they don't sound as great by themselves, but together they sound really great. And they get that shot, but they sounded really great, bagged them up very well. But this style of music in that era, like I said, when it came to the melody of this era, I think it was kind of similar, but not in a bad way. I don't think it was more or less like in today's world, you say like, oh, you're copying this person or you're trying to be like this person. I think more or less back then when they did have groups that sounded the same, it was more or less that they were like, that was their sound. You know, it wasn't like what was hot. That was just the sound of that era, and the people ran with it, you know, and used it. So that's where I take the respect. That's where the respect level comes from me then, where today it's more or less like, oh, it's hot. Oh, I'm gonna jump in that trend and let's all sound the same. Like it's more or less back then it was like, oh, this is our sound. Like that's the sound of this era. We don't have a sound of this era. Everybody's just all over the place, but great song, great group. I didn't look at the time though. I know this is older. I always guess with songs like this. I want to say 60s probably. I wouldn't doubt it with this sound. Could be wrong though. Let's see. 1961. I knew it. That's that era. 60s always produced this sound. So Bobby Lewis, Tossin, and Turnin came out in 61. That's that era where I say they produced the greatest singers and they had that sound. So once again, his voice is phenomenal. It was something different than I'm used to hearing from the 60s though, because I did previous reactions and some artists from the 60s and they had a higher tone to them, and a lot of artists from the 60s that I reacted to on the channel actually had a higher tone. So this is something a little bit different, but thank you guys for bringing another artist up to my attention, 60s at that. And thank you guys for tuning back in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.